So just so everybody knows, we are, because
You're good to go.
we're good to go?
You're live.
Great. So just I wanted to give everybody a quick overview because this committee is a public committee. It's made available to the public. So in this case, it's being streamed live on YouTube. I don't know how many folks want to watch us, but there is always that option, I suppose, and it is recorded. So not quite as much fun as the old days, but it is more transparent. And I think everybody's familiar with the way we hold online meetings nowadays. Try to keep your mics muted. I'll try to make sure I keep everybody engaged and with proper respect as we go through the meetings. So I think we've got most everybody here. So I'm going to officially call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. on the 26th. And so with that being said, like I was saying before, there's a real mix of faces that I'm more familiar with and some new faces. And certainly through 2020, a lot of the work that this committee was doing, we made some great headway early on and then got stalled out, but have accomplished a lot in the time this committee's been in its existence. And then we did the recruitment. So we've got a bunch of new faces joining us. And I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about what we're going to do. And that everybody's so keen to join us in the application process. We had over 20 applicants for the position. So thank you everyone in advance for stepping up and volunteering to be on the Parks and Recreation Committee. We will, with any luck, keep you busy and we'll be able to make a difference in Cochrane together. So one of the first orders of business is we are going to, so I've called the meeting to order. Before we adopt the agenda, we're going to have to elect a vice chair. My appointment as chair is by council resolution. In the past, Dawn Tomey has been good enough to be our vice chair and has served us well. She's one of the what are we going to say here? Old guard that can bring that that experience, and Lloyd as well, to the table. So before we kind of elect a vice chair, I did want to just have everybody take, well, first I want to introduce our staff support so that everybody is aware who's at the table from the staff side today. And then we'll let everybody introduce yourselves briefly, just probably with your name and maybe what part of town you're from and why you're keen to join the committee. So first of all, though, I think everybody knows me at this point. My name is Tara McFadden. I'm one of the councillors here in town and have the privilege of being the council rep on this committee. And joining us tonight, I'm quite glad, is Mr. Darracott. Mr. Darracott is our new CAO, and he's hit the ground running. I think he's been on the job for 22 days already. And so I'll let him introduce himself, as well as Drew Heineman is here, our General Manager of Development Services. Mr. Brad Luft. Brad, I think I've forgotten your title. Brad manages our parks. And Deanna Kemp is our administrative support and is officially part of the FCSS window, I think, and supporting us as well. So before we get into further introductions though, Mike, did you want to just introduce yourself and say a few words?
Sure, thank you, Councillor McFadden. It's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. It's been 22 days of drinking from the fire hose here as I learn about the community and the organization, and excited to learn more about this committee and the initiatives that matter to you as citizens and residents and users of our community. I am I guess I would consider myself an avid sportsman. I grew up spending most of my time in my youth playing sports, baseball, volleyball, basketball, rugby being the kind of main sports that I was involved in. Still, the weekend warrior types, try to get out there and give it a go when I can. I try to make up for what I've lost in quickness with veteran savvy these days, but still have a lot of fun with that now with my kids and coaching and being involved in that way. Huge believer in just whole health in terms of recreation and and building a community that is got lots of opportunities for families and people to be out healthy, moving, and enjoying the beautiful setting that we live in. So mostly tonight, I'm just excited to watch you all in action, but interested in participating, supporting, and working to develop those opportunities in our community. So thanks for having me, and looking forward to working with the group.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Darracott. So now the introductions. I'm just gonna, I'll call out names just based off of how they're appearing on my agenda, and that should catch everybody. And actually, just before we get into it, as everybody knows, the meeting's booked from 7 till 9. Some of our veterans can tell you that I really do try to honor the 9 o'clock. It's kind of a matter of pride in the fact that we all have lives. I really want to encourage, good discussion and input as we move through the items. So following up on that, first up, Dawn, can you quickly introduce yourself? Or not?
I'm thinking, Dawn, you don't have a microphone. Is that what I'm picking up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that mean we get to decide what we know about you?
What we know about Dawn? Yeah. So while Dawn maybe sees if we can figure that out. Dawn has served on the committee since it was first formed. She's been our vice chair. She comes to us from a background with the City of Calgary and in parks and long advocate in our group on getting the recreation being part of the conversation, and has been involved in a lot of the subcommittee work that we do. She's got 3 grown sons in Cochrane and is very engaged in our community. So I think I did that quickly. Excellent. So we'll move on then to Dermot O'Connor, who's new to our committee.
Hi there, I'm Dermot O'Connor. I also go by Gary O'Connor. That explains what you see there in the name tag. Thanks for having me on the committee. I'm excited to learn about the work that you do and to have a chance to participate and share some ideas about recreation planning and going forward. My background is I live in Heartland, and I'm involved with Cochrane Rangers, Cochrane Minor Basketball Association, and Sport for Life sometimes, but not as much as Leah. And that's about it.
Excellent. Thanks, Derek. Next up, Kelly Walesko. So Kelly, the request was introduce yourself, your neighborhood, and why you're serving on the committee.
There, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, good. My name's Kelly. I live in Sunset. I got involved with the Parks and Rec Committee at its sort of inception. I have been actively involved with the Cochrane Off Leash advocacy group, and I've enjoyed the last 2 years with this group. I've learned a lot about the Parks and Rec and all the different delegation groups within the town, the user groups and stakeholders, and yeah, it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 years.
Excellent. Thanks, Kelly. Next up, yeah.
Hi there. Although there's a lot of new members, I feel like I'm relatively new as well. I just came onto the committee, I guess, in the summer, and didn't really ever get to meet any of the other members in person. So I'm really hoping that we all get to meet in person this year at some point. Missing that a lot, but obviously happy to see you all here. So I live in Glen Eagles, and I've been in Cochrane for about 19 years now. And I have 2 grown kids who are both in online university. And I joined the committee because my work and my volunteer life all centers around my passion for physical activity and physical literacy, and both provincially, locally, and nationally. And so I wanted to just have the opportunity to give some of that back to my community and share some of the insights, ideas, resources, and also learn more about my community and get to know more people. So that's why I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you. Lloyd, Mr. Manning, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. Lloyd Manning here. Live in Riverview for 26 years now, and this is my second term on this committee. It's a great bunch to work with. We got a ways to go, and my passion is our pathway system, and I say that we are second to none when it comes to that facility that we have here. It's just the best to go, and looking forward to more input on the Horse Creek rec area. So glad to be back. Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd. Mark Hoskin.
Good evening. My name's Mark Hoskin. Do you hear me all right? Great. Just I'm in Edmonton at a course, so just want to make sure the reception's all right. So I live up in Sunset with 3 kids up here or up there, and they're my passion and being outdoors, as Lloyd spoke of. I love our path system. I came from Olds where there's very few paths, but being able to enjoy that with my kids who are also involved in the rugby scene, as well as the multiplex and all those great things that Cochrane has to offer. So I just really looking forward to giving back to the town as they've given to us. So.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. Welcome aboard. Neil. Did Neil catch up to us? Neil McNeil?
No Neil yet.
No Neil yet? Okay. Peggy.
Hi, can you hear me?
There you go. Yep.
Kids, I have 2 kids and they're heading to bed shortly, but it's pretty loud. Some dance music or something in the kitchen right now. So I'm a mom. I live in Cochrane Heights. I've been in Cochrane 3 years, and kind of like, was it Leah, you were saying you work in physical literacy, and I work as a recreation and environment planner for the province. And I just love Cochrane and I wanted to give back and hopefully can contribute in some interesting ways to the efforts we have here. I'm also an avid cyclist and runner and a new dog owner. We got one of those COVID puppies. So I'm really excited. You can see lots of nods. I'm probably not the only one, but it's been a great addition to our lives. So nice to meet you all.
Welcome aboard, Peggy. Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a university student at the University of Calgary, hoping to be a city planner someday. So Councillor McFadden graciously allowed me to be on this committee so I can learn more about local governance, and so I can maybe help out a little bit and help improve our town. I've been in Cochrane for 8 years. I live up in Sunset, and I always love being outdoors. I love our pathway system, much like Lloyd, and heading outdoors whenever I can, get some fresh air. It's great for mental health. But yeah, I'm just glad to be here.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. I'm glad you're back with us. Fiona.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Fiona Gilbert. I'm here representing Rocky View Schools as we share lots of spaces and facilities with the town of Cochrane. And so I'm a non-voting member on this committee. I also do live in Cochrane and like some others of you live up in Sunset and have like to see the partnerships develop around with the schools, being part of the community and our rec places as well. So great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. Mr. Burwash.
Hi, thank you. My name is Justin Burwash. I'm another non-voting member because of my role as the president of the Cochrane District Ag Society. So for those of you maybe new-ish to Cochrane area, the Cochrane Ag Society has 146 acres on the northwest corner of the intersections of the 1A and 22. And we are recently the benefactors, I guess, of purchasing our land from Rocky View County for $1. So we're going through a big process and some fun things over the next little while now that we have control of our home. So that's exciting. And in terms of me, I grew up, I'm born and raised kind of just on the outskirts of Cochrane in the Rocky View area, and I'm a business owner in Cochrane. So my Cochrane's been part of my life for, I guess, almost 50 years now. So, and I'm glad to be sitting in on this.
Excellent. Thank you. And great news that the Ag Society has the lands under your ownership finally. And then Mr. Brad Nadeau is representing the Spray Lakes Sawmill Family, the rec center. Alex on council, Councilor Reed has actually been appointed to be the rep from them, but he couldn't make it tonight. So Brad was great enough to step up. But Brad, if you just wanted to do the same, we're glad you're here at the table with us.
Sure, you bet. Hi all. I've met several of you. I was a part of the committee for the last year, and unfortunately, I've just been busy with 3 kids. So time is precious, especially on Tuesday night. So unfortunately, I had to resign, but Alex took over for me. So yeah, I'm looking. I really enjoy Cochrane. I live just outside of Cochrane in the MD, but like others have said, I mean, we have a great system of pathways. I'm curious to see how the new development goes on our west side, and so lots of good things happening. So, and obviously we've had lots of challenges at Spray Lakes, and we look forward to getting back to some realm of normalcy for everybody, and everybody back to Spray Lakes and looking after their physical.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, Brad. And so just as a refresher for everybody, the committee members are a mix of those appointed by council, which are the voting members. And then we have some non-voting members that are representing the Ag Society, Spray Lakes, and the school boards are non-voting. But we've yet to reach a point, and Alex is here. He had applied in the past. One of those rare conversations, you need somebody young that says they want to be in local government, so you don't let that type of energy go sideways. So we recruited him, and he's been good enough to join us. So we do have the capacity to vote. Our decisions have generally been by consensus, and my goal would be to make sure that as a community conversation, we keep it that way. So thank you for the introductions of your time. So then we can just move on to the election of our vice chair. What I would suggest, if the committee is comfortable with this, is that we ask Dawn to continue as our vice chair, and we can review that in a year, but that would allow perhaps the rest of us, everyone else, if anybody else is interested in serving in that position, a little bit of time to catch your feet. There have been times in the past where I've had meeting conflicts, and Dawn has been good enough to chair the meetings and keep things moving in a forward direction. What is general thoughts on that? If anybody has anything, just raise a hand and we'll have a conversation. Dawn, I assumed you'd be interested.
Can you hear me now?
You're good.
Oh, bonus, great. No, I'd be happy to do that, but if anybody else wants to do it, I'm happy to step down as well.
Lloyd, what do you think? You're good?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
So
I would be happy to see Dawn stay in the role too.
So and that's kind of our 3 voting members from last term. So if you have any questions about that, kind of raise a hand or give me a signal and we'll have a conversation. But if we're comfortable with that, then I would ask that somebody put the motion on the floor and we can vote on it. Lloyd, you were keen enough to support that?
Yes, I move to elect Dawn for vice chair for another term.
Okay, all right, and everyone in favor? So if you just raise your hands on the screen, we'll go that way. Okay, nobody's voting against it, so we're going to say it's unanimous. So with that then, thank you, Dawn. We will declare Dawn as our vice chair. 3 cheers for Dawn. Thanks, Fiona. Thank you, Dawn. As you know, I always get a lot of work out of you. Okay, so with the first step of the conversation over with, We will then have a look at the agenda. Oh, actually, before we do that, my apologies. My printer has failed me, and so my notes are sketchy. One of the things I did want to review with everyone is the terms of reference for the committee. You would have seen it when you were applying. Those of us who have been active in the committee are probably familiar with the workings of it. But just as a review, the language of it, I'll just quickly go over it. But we are an advisory board to council. Overall, we're giving tasks to do. And sometimes council gives us extra tasks, but we give that advice. We are not a decision-making body, nor have we been given a budget to spend. So the authority then is the committee will review and discuss community parks and recreation services that exist or may be needed, the most effective use of the parks and recreation infrastructure and programming in the community. We will invite and receive submissions from community groups and administration with respects to creating and enhancing recreation opportunities. A significant portion of last year was kind of getting a handle on what the community groups are thinking. We review any park and recreation issues referred to the committee by council. We make recommendations to council and administration on projects or programming and to create and enhance parks and recreation opportunities. And we review and provide input into the capital budgets. And so that was kind of our work in the fall. And we comply with the Town of Cochrane Procedural Bylaw and the Municipal Government Act. So you all have access to that, but just as a refresher of what our work looks like. Is there any questions on the terms of reference? No? Excellent. Good, good. Okay, so then 1A and B is complete. With a look at the agenda, does anybody have any questions about the agenda or what we're trying to accomplish tonight? That looks good. Excellent. Okay, with that then, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda. Somebody just raise a hand and I'll look for motions. So Kelly has put the motion on the table. All in favor? So therefore I declare that our agenda has been adopted. Item 3A is the adoption of the previous minutes. That'll be new to the bulk of the crew, but Lloyd, Dawn, Kelly, Fiona, any questions with the rest? Leah, we're good? Okay. Comfy? Good. Thumbs up. All right. Excellent. So then I will call for a motion to adopt the previous minutes. And Leah will say that you moved it. All in favor? Okay. Adopted unanimously. And I'm going to assume it's unanimous. Yes.
Sarah, sorry, I missed who put the motion forward.
Oh, Leah did. And so I'll assume it's unanimous. If it's not, let me know and we'll make sure that it's recorded. Just as we adapt to the Zoom world. Okay, so then moving on to item 4A, old business, the 2020 work plan review. Let's see, I'm not too sure. Brad, you had a copy of that, or were you gonna speak to that, or did you want me just to give a quick overview? We chatted about this last week and I don't remember where we landed.
Sorry, Tara, I was having troubles unmuting. I had sent you the copy and you were going to speak to it, but I can take a couple minutes and dig up a copy if you want.
Well, looking at the time, I can just do a review. I think between the two of us, we have a good understanding of where we're at.
Okay.
So the work plan, we had a 2-year work plan approved by council that we were going to move forward with. Those items, they did get stalled, but the projects that we're going to be working towards is the Horse Creek Destination Sports Park that there's been a lot of conversation about. And so we're going to be looking at the next steps of that. Right now, it's still in still early days. There's more design work that needs to be done. There's still the purchase of the property and some other high-level decisions that need to be made, but this committee will be feeding into that. Also supported again in the budget, this committee is going to be feeding into and providing direction for park plans for Midford Park and for the ranch. So those are two big projects there. And so those are kind of the three big projects on the horizon. And then other projects as assigned to us by council as we go throughout the year. Don, any thoughts on that? Those were kind of the three that we were looking to move ahead.
I think those were the three biggies that we did discuss, Tara. I know we had talked a little bit about trying to do some type of recreation review and get a better grasp on the needs and the status of recreation offerings through the town. And I'm assuming that we don't have the resources to do that.
Well, good news. We did, there is a, Mr. Hyman, correct me if I'm wrong. The town did budget, I believe, $100,000 towards a recreation master plan. And so I'll have to sit down with Mr. Derricott, Mr. Hyman, and Mr. Luft and kind of understand how we can prioritize that. But in the budget right now, there is kind of those 4 items of work.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, is that correct, Drew? I'm on.
That is correct. I think giving Mr. Derricott an opportunity to review the recreation needs of the community and looking specifically at some of the things with Spray Lakes was our discussion at budget time. Again, there is only $100,000 there, so certainly he is going to have some further discussions and determine the best path forward for that those funds.
Yeah, so we have kind of those 4 major projects on our list to address. But budget was November, December finalized. Mr. Derricott has onboarded with us for 22 days now. So we will be kind of working with the senior team to determine which and how we approach those projects this year. So that's the work plan in review. Once we get into the fall, we'll also be feeding into the capital budget. So we will keep you busy in your meetings with us this year. Any questions on those from anyone? It's a lot of new information if you haven't been part of the conversations.
I guess.
Yes,
Sarah,
Lloyd?
yes, Brad has put through, the Cochrane Ranch history and also a lead up to Midford Park with all these suggestions and that. So is that what we're going to review this year for which one should we choose to say make up Midford Park? The input there?
Yeah, well, we'll have to determine it. I mean, because we did do that and Brad has provided that information. We can provide it to the rest, to everyone else as a review in the committee. But one of the things I'm going to have to work through with Mr. Derricott and the team is what's the lineup and what's the best way to approach them and what other resources we have to support that work. Because certainly the parks, that's planning work and we'll need, those resources to support our work. So, so we'll be able to get back to everybody a clear idea in February and we'll have a clear idea of how we can action this work plan then.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lloyd. All righty, so then I think that covers off item old business, the work plan review. Now through this, moving on to 4B, a lot of the conversations I was having through COVID was a lot of different user groups that, everybody is missing their recreation and they're looking ahead and wanting to know how they can, forward their dreams for their community in Cochrane. And so one of those, of course, was Cochrane Minor Ball. And sorry, Corey, I didn't ask you to introduce yourself at the beginning of the meeting. My apologies. But so Corey O'Howe is here with us tonight to give 5 to 10 minute introduction of Cochrane Minor Ball and what their status and what they're looking for. And the idea tonight is that it's just going to feed in so that when we're working through these projects, we have information to work with. So Corey, you have a presentation for us, or how would you like to do this tonight?
I do. Thanks, Councillor McFadden. It's nice to see everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to present to the Parks and Rec group again. some old faces that we've seen before when we did presentation, and then lots of new faces again. Jason Qualley is the VP of baseball for Cochrane Minor Ball, and he's also joining in. Do you want me to share my screen with our presentation, or?
Yeah, you can share. I've set it up so you can share.
Awesome, perfect. Hopefully I can figure this out. Just 1 second.
So, Jason, my apologies. I didn't see you on the side there either. So, but welcome both of you. I'm glad you are here with us tonight.
There we go. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Perfect. All right. Again, thank you very much, Councillor McFadden and Parks and Rec Committee. We're gracious that you've offered us some time to do a presentation and tell you a little bit about Cochrane Minor Ball. I've been president of Cochrane Minor Ball now for, I think, about 5 years. We've come a long way in numbers, and we're kind of running out of space, I guess you could say. So, CMB, we offer a Challenger baseball program also, which is designed to empower children, youth, and adults living with physical and/or cognitive disabilities. I think that's a portion of our organization that a lot of people don't know about. And so we do have a Challenger team that plays every year in our program, and they play against usually a lot of the 12 and 13 or 11 and 12-year-olds, sorry. And we go out there and we help them, and we work with them too. And it's amazing to see them and how much they enjoy the game. So that's a portion of our organization that a lot of people don't know about. We also offer both baseball and softball or fastball. Our players range in age from 4 to 16. Right now, one of our goals is to increase the ability for us to include older kids or young adults, 16 and older. And unfortunately, in the past, the last few years, we've had to cap our numbers and unfortunately turn players away just due to our lack of time and space. Here's a little bit about how we've grown over the last few years. As you can see, in 2015, we had about 280 youths playing. In 2019, which is kind of the last year of full organized ball, we had 656 players. And in 2020, before COVID hit, we were at 659 players. And the reason that we've kind of stopped our growth is just because we're regulated by the amount of diamond space that we have. This kind of just shows a quick overview of where our numbers are. So coach pitch T-ball is kind of under the age of 8. That's where a lot of our kids are. 9 to 12, again, a large portion of our players. And where we're starting to grow is in the 13 to 16 age. We're up to 100 youths, 7, 8 teams, and growing. And another portion of our program that's really growing is the softball. Last couple of years, again, we're kind of capped out at about 100 players. But this is a part of our program we really see potential in growth numbers. But again, we're just limited by the diamond availability. A quick overview of the diamonds that we have in town. I'll just go through this quickly. We have 5 non-fence diamonds that we use for softball, coach pitch, T-ball, and practicing for the younger kids. These are diamonds such as Fireside School, Sunset School, the Glenbow School, those kind of things. We have 3 fence diamonds that are used for games for minor, major, and softball, mostly Matt Kroll. And those are again available to us 7 days a week, along with the 5 non-fence diamonds. In town, there's 4 fence diamonds that we get used for intermediate, which is age of 13 and up. And these diamonds are only available to Cochrane Minor Ball 2 days during the week, and Saturdays, and about 2/3 of Sunday. 2 of these diamonds are located at the rodeo grounds, which we can all know is on borrowed time, I guess we could say. And the 1 diamond at the rodeo grounds is what I would call the only really full-size baseball diamond in Cochrane, and I'll kind of explain what I mean by that here in a second. So just a quick example of what our schedule would look like on a Monday and Tuesday night during a full year. You can see it's pretty packed. This shows the diamonds, kind of who's using them. And this kind of shows you that on Mondays we don't have the availability of 4 of the diamonds that the older kids would use. A little bit of misconception, I guess, is that a ball diamond's a ball diamond. And to some extent it is, and to some extent it's not. Just kind of just shows a quick difference. A baseball diamond, depending on the age, has pitching mounds that can be permanent or transferable, I guess, where you could move them from diamond to diamond. So that's between 46 and 60 feet. Base path distance is between 60 and 90 feet, and fence distance can range from 200 to 400 feet. Softball diamonds, they don't have pitching mounds, and the pitching distance is usually 30 to 43 feet, base paths at 45 to 60, and fences ranging from 150 to 235. And then there's what I would call a generic diamond, which is a lot of what slow pitch would use. No pitching mounds, base path distance of approximately 65 feet, with longer fences ranging from 300 to 400 feet. The playing season for baseball in Cochrane can range from July and August or from March to the end of October, depending on how things look and when it's snowing and when it's not. Most of the time, our season starts in April and runs to the end of June. We call that our spring season. Our summer season runs from the end of June to August long weekend usually. And then we have a fall season that starts up again in September and runs kind of through till, call it October long weekend or whenever the snow starts again. And there's other future groups and teams that could use facilities here. There's a growing need for academies, or not need, I guess, but it seems to be a growing thing with baseball academies throughout Alberta. And also adult groups for both baseball and fastball are looking to start up, but again, just limited by diamonds. What Cochrane minor ball is kind of, I guess, our future requirements or future needs or requests, is diamond development. We feel we could easily see probably over 800 players in the next 3 years. And that's only a modest growth rate. And we've seen that, and we believe that that's a pretty attainable option, especially if we could increase our ages and that kind of thing. In order to grow the 16 to 18 age group, CMB requires a full-size baseball only diamond. We could easily have 4 teams that would utilize a full-size diamond right now. And if we could increase that user group to the age of 18 to 21, even more teams and even adult teams I've had adults come talk to me about, if we had a baseball diamond, they'd start a baseball team. Right now we just have the 1 diamond, and we only get partial use. So we kind of have a max of about 2 teams. We could maybe put a 3rd team, but it would be very, very tough. I think there's some options to utilize space at existing facilities. And one of the things too is that fastball, baseball, and slow pitch all have different requirements, which can utilize the same diamond to some extent, but everybody kind of has their specific needs that go with that. Kind of our vision for the future right now is, the development of a full-size baseball-only diamond. I think the Horse Creek Sports Park would be a great place, and CMB is willing, as we always are, to work with the town on some type of a joint venture project, whether that includes us fundraising, providing some kind of capital into the project. I know there's been lots of talk about a quad at the Horse Creek Sports Park. Again, I think that's something that the town of Cochrane really needs. We don't have any diamonds that are available for slow pitch specifically. And it's probably kind of funny listening to me talk about slow pitch, but in the background, if all the slow pitch was moved to a quad, that would open the Mitford Diamonds up for baseball. which would be a huge help to our organization. Also utilizing existing facilities by adding diamonds near existing diamonds, such as Glen Eagles, where we have a diamond and a soccer pitch. You know, in my opinion, probably the town would be better use of facilities, and if it was more efficient to have multiple diamonds, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So those are just some options that we think that we've come up with that could help us to develop diamonds and take some of the pressure off of the existing diamonds that we have. Again, we can bring some things to the table, extensive knowledge and ideas to create efficient complex to be utilized by all the groups. You know, both Jason and myself have experience with complexes and what we've seen and where we've played and that kind of thing. Cochrane Minor Ball has the ability to apply for grants from multiple avenues to help fund construction. You know, things like the RVC funding and CFAP and that kind of thing. And it has the ability to bring significant revenue to the town of Cochrane. I think that it's, I don't have specific numbers, but the economic impact of bringing teams to town every weekend up to, 24 teams from out of town. And if you have that every weekend between slow pitch and baseball, and it's a significant economic impact. And yeah, maintenance and agreements and partnerships is something else that we can bring to the table. So, we're not just coming to the table asking for diamonds to be built by the town. We're willing to offer any resources that we have, to help partner with the town to accomplish these goals. So, again, thank you very much. Please, any questions? More than happy to answer them.
Excellent. Thanks, Corey, for your presentation. I really appreciate it and the overview. I think I need to get one of those sweatshirts that the girls have in your picture. Pretty good. So questions from the group. Kelly, you have a question?
I do. I can you hear me? Sorry, I'm always paranoid about that. Okay.
Yes.
I thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate that. I also really appreciate that you touched on a specific age group that seems to be missing out on adequate diamond space. And the fact that you're addressing that, I think our youth need more seasonal recreation, and baseball is certainly a good way to do that. I also appreciate the fact that you were talking about sharing space when you commented on the soccer pitch, and the fact that you recognize that, in some parts are ideal and they're high use because they're beautiful and they're fantastic, and we have to share those with other people. So I appreciate that you commented on that too. And you touched on a little bit at the end about sort of driving revenue to Cochrane. I just wonder, off the top of your head, do you know how many sort of baseball tournaments or other things that Cochrane has missed out due to space in, like, let's say the past 5 years?
You know what? That's a great question. Right now, I think that as far as baseball goes and Cochrane Minor Ball, I don't think we're missing out on too many, call them general tournaments, I guess, because of lack of space from a baseball perspective. Things like hosting, for example, a provincial tournament or Western Canadians, even something like that, isn't something I'd say we've missed out on, but we haven't had those opportunities, I guess, maybe. At this time, and I don't want to speak for slow pitch, but I think that that's probably where the quad and the economic opportunity would be significant at this time.
So basically, what you're saying is with more space, you'd be opening up more opportunities that you actually haven't turned any away in the past, but the more opportunities will be present for your organization. And then, yeah, the piece about the slow pitch, there'll be more opportunities for them too. Correct?
That's correct, yes. And I'd say that, then again, I guess I would just add that, again, with the older age groups, we've maybe missed because we haven't had as many teams as we possibly could have.
Understand. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So sorry about the delay there. I was answering a message and then trying to unmute myself. So yeah, thank you for that. And so just to reiterate, kind of your future solution is looking at the Horse Creek site with the idea being a complete legitimate baseball diamond being hosted there to suit your needs. And then Quad Diamond would kind of allow that partnership. My question, I guess, well, I have two questions for you is I mean, every user group would obviously say more, but how long would one baseball diamond be? What's the timeline before you're going to want two, I guess, or where's the need for two? And then just speaking to COVID, what is your 2021 plans looking like?
Oh, excellent questions. The part about the second diamond is an interesting question because I don't know the answer to that. I think, like I said, there's a lot of opportunity for the 16 to even 21 age group. And if you have more people than I think would even show up, then you're going to have probably a request for a second diamond because now you're going to have 6, 7, 8 teams maybe. I used to live in Lloydminster, and they kind of had that where they had one baseball diamond. It grew at a significant rate, kind of similar to Cochrane. They had one team, all of a sudden they had 3 teams, all of a sudden they had 6 teams, and they had built one diamond and then needed a second one a few years later, because kind of, if you build it, they will come, I guess, is kind of how it worked out for them, which was good because it grew the sport in that town significantly over that time. As for 2021, Cochrane Minor Ball is going ahead like it would be a normal season, I guess. We've opened our registration. What it'll look like by the end of April, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows. If somebody does, they could let me know. It would make things easier. But our plan right now is to kind of go ahead as we'd have a normal season, and we'll adjust as necessary, like we did last year, I guess, kind of thing. So last year, in the midst of this, we were kind of the first sport that started back up after the COVID started. We luckily didn't have any issues or any transmissions, and as far as I know, actually throughout Alberta, with all the baseball that was played, there was no transmissions that were reported. So our plan is to continue to go ahead. Obviously, we'll follow AHS and the town of Cochrane and everybody's rules as we need to when we start up. But right now, I think we have around 300 players registered, which might be a few less than a normal season, but I think it's pretty good considering where we're at right now.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Mr. Darracott, you had a question.
I actually had just noticed that I think it was Peggy who had noted she had a question there in the chat, and I thought you might see the hand more readily. So I'll just pass it to Peggy.
You're so kind. You asked for like a hand icon, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. I know how to put it up the other way, but anyway, thank you. I forgive me. I have 3 questions, and if I say them quickly, maybe they count as one. One question, I don't have a clue how much. I am a softball player. I love it. I haven't joined a team in Cochrane. I just need to meet more people. So, how much does it cost for a ball diamond? It would be interesting and helpful to get kind of a ballpark. And I'm going to be one of those annoying people who like to pun every so often. I also wondered, do you know, like, there is a finite season for the ball field, and do you know any examples of where the ball diamonds could be used for other things the rest of the year, like purposefully other than just people walking through them? Because I think combo where we can demonstrate uses at like around the year would be really good in a pitch oh my God, I'm terrible with, like, is there too many ball references and I can't not make a pun about it? And then the next thing, I heard you say like up to 800 players in the future with, but I missed what the membership is of the different types of ball now.
Yeah, so we kind of mix it together a little bit. So with the girls fastball, we have between 90 and 100 players. And then the rest would be included in baseball. But that could be anywhere from blast ball, which is for 4-year-olds, to T-ball, coach pitch, and that kind of thing. So right now we'd be sitting right around just a hair under 600 of the, all the way from blast ball to baseball up to 16-year-old, and another 90 to 100 of the softball. As far as utilizing diamonds for multiple activities, it's a good question, and I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately. I think it's something that probably would require a user group like yourselves to maybe sit down and have a conversation with some baseball people or softball people and kind of do some brainstorming. As far as the cost of diamonds, we did a little bit of research on this. There's a town in Alberta that's building a quad right now, actually. They moved a bunch of dirt in the fall, put up some fencing and laid some sod, and they'll finish in the spring. And the cost of their quad was, their budget is 1.9 million. And we did some research on baseball diamond, and it's right around $1 million. But with the baseball diamond, like a lot of stuff, there's a lot of adders you can add on, things like lights and that kind of thing. So you could say it'd be maybe in the 900 to 1.5 range, depending on all the adders that you wanted to put into it. Hopefully that answered your questions.
Thanks.
Good as I can.
I'm going to be really glad when we aren't having to do meetings like this anymore. So my apologies if I'm missing any questions. I am trying to scan. Kelly, do you have another question? Your hand was still up.
No, I did not. I did not realize I had to take my hand down. My apologies.
No, we'll figure it all out. Mr. Derricott, did you have a question, or you were just...
No, rookie mistake here, sorry.
No, we're getting through it. All right, well, yeah, thanks for the presentation. Jason, did you have anything to add on the presentation or from your perspective?
No, I think that pretty much sums up where we're at and where our needs are going to be for the next couple of years, for sure.
Okay. And just as a, perhaps as an overview for the committee, one of the things that is impacting baseball, and there was the comment early from Corey about kind of on borrowed time at the ball diamond down by the rodeo grounds, is with the tri-site plan that was discussed, 2 years ago now. The idea is that the everything down at the rodeo grounds is got a different future in it, and one of those is that the space for the baseball diamonds would have other purposes. But one of the agreements that we committed to as a municipality when working through the tri-sites is that no user group was going to lose what they had. And so that there would be, if we need to make use of that space where baseball is at the rodeo grounds right now, we're going to make sure they have a replaced home up at the Horse Creek site. So that's kind of one of the commitments that the municipality made when we were working through the tri-sites, is that anybody kind of has a home on those sites. The tri-site plan saw a future for them somewhere in the municipality. So that's where that reference is coming from. So tonight's presentation was just to kind of give the group an idea of one of the user groups in our community that's looking for the future. A lot of the questions we have from user groups that are looking to be at the Horse Creek site is they want to know how to get started. They're like, we have a need, we're an amazing community group, our community members we want to participate, we'll help fundraise, we want, tell us how to be involved. And at this point as a municipality, we don't have that path laid out yet. So with the Horse Creek site, we're still, in early stages of that. And we're going to have to go through the whole governance decision-making about how do we involve the user groups and how do we build those partnerships. So a lot of those questions are being asked. We don't have the answers to just yet. But my hope is through this year that we really start to advance, not only the answers to these questions, but identify some other questions as well. So any final questions to the Minor Ball group? Okay, I'm scrolling. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, Leah.
I have a very quick question, Tara. I'm sorry, I just couldn't find my hand to raise. Maybe just a suggestion. Does the national, does Softball Canada or any groups have recommendations on number of ball diamonds per capita, or are there any groups that have kind of done that sort of work as well? Because that might also help with future planning as well. So obviously population growth is another factor of increasing your numbers, as well as quality of the programming that you're offering, right? So yeah, just encourage you to look at all those national or other resources as if you haven't done that already.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, so and then Mr. Love, Mr. Hyman, Mr. Darracott, did you have any questions or comments on the presentation before we kind of accept it and move on to the next item?
No, I've had an opportunity to meet with Corey and Jason in the past, and obviously I know they're very passionate about making a difference in the community, and worked with them through COVID so they could get operating, and just excited for to work with this committee and see baseball and expand in Cochrane. I think would be exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. Thanks, Corey. That was a great presentation. A lot of good information, some good numbers. And we look forward to our continued relationship with Cochrane Minor Ball in the future. So thank you for all the information.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McFadden. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Much appreciated. And look forward to chatting in the future.
Now, gentlemen, you can stay through the rest of the meeting if you like, or if you have other life commitments you need to get back to, I understand that as well. So
Thank
your
you.
choice.
Thanks. I'll probably sign off.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. So, okay, from the group, let's just take a motion to receive that presentation for information. So who wants to make that motion? Dawn is making that motion. All in favor? Great, seems to be passed unanimously. Moving on then to, we have to discuss legislative services ever so often reaches out to the committees and gives us explicit directions of things we have to determine. And one of them is they wanted us to confirm the date and time of meetings. We've recently chatted about this, but let's have the chat. Right now we're booking for the 4th Tuesdays of the months, starting at 7 with a goal to end at 9. So we've been asked to confirm that time. That was the time we talked about in the committees, but turning that over to the group, do we like the time? Do we want to have to change it? Would we like to make staff happy and make it a daytime meeting? Nobody's switching. Dawn?
I'm quite comfortable and I'm really, really flexible, so I can work around what everybody else's schedule is.
Okay. Lloyd?
Yes, I'm quite comfortable with that Tuesday evening. The afternoon seemed to be, a lot of people were had other plans than that. It seemed like the night meetings are better for that, so I'm good with that.
Okay. Any of our newcomers? We're looking good. Okay, then I will call for a motion then just to confirm that the date and time of our meetings will continue fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. And Derry has volunteered to make that motion. I really appreciate your initiative on that, Mr. O'Connor. So all in favor? Great, passed unanimously. Okay, next up on new business, the introductory overview of the park system. Mr. Luft is going to catch us up.
Thanks, Tara. I am going to share my screen here in a minute. First of all, I just would like to say welcome to all the new committee members and welcome back to all the previous committee members. It's good to see everybody, and I hope everybody had a safe holiday. For the new members, my name is Brad Luft. I'm the manager for the Parks and Open Spaces section. I've been with the town since 2004, and I've been in my current role since 2017. So great organization, great place to work, and a great park system. So I'm happy to be here. And with that, I am going to attempt to share my screen, and then I will do a quick PowerPoint presentation. And there we go. Yeah, so just a quick overview of the Parks and Open Spaces. And I would be amiss if I didn't start with the Parks team. Parks and Open Spaces section consists of 8 full-time operators, a full-time parks coordinator, a full-time section manager, and this year we're going with 20 seasonal staff during our peak times, which runs anywhere from the middle of April until about the middle of September. We generally keep a couple people on, a little bit earlier and a little bit later some years. COVID changed our operation last year, but we're gonna try and get back to normal this year. We do receive ongoing support from the staff at the operation desk. Really quickly, this is Angie Basha. She's our parks coordinator. We have Mitch Jakes and Dan Linden, who are parks operators. Mitch is our cemetery guy. Dan takes care of one of our areas. We have Garrett Grosskleg and Simon Warren. Garrett is our certified playground inspector, and Simon is our construction specialist. And I've always said about Simon, if Simon can't build it, it can't be built. We have on the left, we have Jordan Lundgren, who's our sports field operator. Unfortunately, handed in his resignation yesterday as his wife has taken a position on the West Coast. So we're going to miss him. He was a fantastic guy, excellent sports field operator. So we've got a gap to fill there in the near future. Sonia Christina on the right, who's our horticulturist. She's responsible for all the planters you see downtown and throughout town. Amazing talent there. John Broza is our mower supervisor and certified arborist. And on the right, we have Summer Gibbons, who is a seasonal worker who's just joined us as of Monday to help pick up a vacancy that we have. This is a pre-COVID picture, of course. This is our operations support. Tanya and Nancy, who do an incredible job at the front desk and make all the operators and all the managers' jobs here at the shop a lot easier and a lot more efficient. So what we've done with the parks system is divided into 5 maintenance zones. We have a full-time operator responsible for each zone. And on top of that, we have 3 specialty zones relating to the sports fields, the cemetery and irrigation. And then we have a data collection, tree inventory project going on, and a summer mowing transport and supervisor. So altogether that covers the 8 operators. As the section continues to expand in the future, we're looking at adding a 6th maintenance zone and picking up another full-time operator moving forward. Data always speaks speak kind of a pun, but it speaks numbers, and here they are. We have 498 hectares of parks and open spaces in the town of Cochrane. 170 of those are regularly maintained as Class A to D park spaces, and the remaining 330 are classified as Class E, which are natural areas and environmental reserves, and they receive varying levels of maintenance. In 2012, the open space master plan indicated 226 hectares of open space and 7 full-time operators, which made each operator responsible for about 32 hectares. In 2020, we have 8 full-time operators, and we're looking after 330 hectares of open space. And you can see that the average has gone up about 10 hectares per operator. So our guys are stretched, but doing a fabulous job. We do have a maintenance. We have our parks built into maintenance, different maintenance classes. We established the classification system according to the degree of development and public use. We updated these standards in 2016 using our previous standards, as well as reaching out to surrounding municipalities and borrowing from what had worked for them. Our parks and open spaces are designated as either an A, a B, a C, a D, or an E class park. And I know this map is hard to see. I'm looking at my surface, so it's a small map, but you can see the different colors representing the different classes. The red is our Class A. That's our highest class of park. Includes spaces like the downtown core, the ranch house. Our B spaces are the rust-colored spaces. Those are our sports fields. C are the general park spaces. We've classified that as high level, high maintenance level C, and low maintenance level C. And that essentially covers all our public space, playgrounds, cemeteries, that kind of space. Class D is a lower maintenance class, utility right-of-ways, that sort of thing. And our Class E space is our environmental reserves, which receive various levels of service. Some of the things that we do are section responsibilities. We look after customer inquiries and case reports. In 2019, we had 434 registered case reports specific to parks. In 2020, we had 690. So COVID helped us out there. Cases went up about, what's the math there, 250. So that's a lot of numbers. We've managed to close about 249 of those off. So kudos again to our front end staff and our field staff. We are responsible for snow removal on about 70 kilometers of asphalt pathway. We do the tree well, shrub bed, flower maintenance. Approximately 50 planters located in various parts of town, including downtown, the Midford parking lot, town buildings. The 27 mulch beds in the downtown streetscape are considered Class A. They're maintained weekly. We are responsible for litter control, garbage receptacles, 201 receptacles that are emptied anywhere from 1 to 4 times a week. Some of them are slower, some of them, the off-leash spaces, for example, we're in there, 3 or 4 times a week, emptying garbages. We do tree pruning on all the trees throughout town, turf fertilizing on the sports fields, aerating on the sports fields. In regards to the sports fields, as Corey just mentioned, we have 12 baseball diamonds. They're dragged and chalked 3 times a week. We aim to keep the turf height between 3 and 4 inches. Sports fields are mowed approximately every 4 days, and foul lines are painted weekly. We have 2 rugby pitches, mowed is above and line painted weekly. And then we have a various number of floating soccer fields depending on the demand of Cochrane Minor soccer, which has fallen off a little bit in the past few years. In the past, we've had anywhere from 20 soccer fields. Last year, 2019, I think we got away with 2. part of that is that they're partnered up with the Cochrane Rangers and are using some of that space as well. So that has taken a little bit off our plate. We have high level Class C maintenance, 3 major open space nodes, the Cochrane Ranch Historic Site, Mitford Park and Riverfront Park. We look after the tennis and the pickleball courts, 4 pickleball courts, 4 tennis courts in 2 different locations. The 4 pickleball courts are on the east end over by Quigley Park. We do ice surface maintenance on our outdoor skating surfaces, the outdoor rink in Mitford Pond, scraped and flooded 6 days a week from late November through the late February, middle of February. We look after the irrigation on approximately 40 systems, 42 playgrounds with playground equipment requiring annual certified inspections. I mentioned the 330 hectares of natural area that are monitored for safety, pathways, litter, and weed control. The off-leash spaces, Jim Uffelman Park, the Highway 22 Dog Park, Riverfront Park, combined for about 40 acres of off-leash space, requiring maintenance on a regular basis. I mentioned the pathway maintenance, 75 kilometer summer and winter maintenance year round. Weed control in all our public spaces, all town-owned spaces are subject to the Alberta Weed Control Act and town bylaws. And then we have trimming and mowing that takes place in the Class A, B, and C parks. 3 cemeteries maintained as high-level Class C areas, mowed and trimmed weekly. In 2019, we had 28 interments, including 13 full casket burials, 10 cremations, and 5 columbaria. In 2020, we had 30 combined, 12, 14, and 4 respectively. So again, I apologize for the size, but an overhead map of our Parks and Trails system, and you can see the Trans-Canada Trail meanders through here, comes in on the east end and meanders down through Riverfront Park and up through Riviera to Highway 22, where it comes to an end. The 42 playgrounds, always growing. We're always continually taking on new playground space. Some of our community partners, this is an excellent program. Angie brainstormed this one a couple of years ago. Community partners Weed Pull for Cash. And it's a non-chemical way of providing weed control. And what we do is we'll take a nonprofit group. We will pay them $300 for a day's work. We supply knowledge and garbage bags and transport. And the group comes on site and hand pulls noxious or prohibited noxious weeds like Canada thistle or oxeye daisy. And you can see in this particular case, they came out of there with about 40 bags of weeds, which we didn't have to apply chemicals to. So excellent program. One of the community events we've been supporting for 13 years, I guess now, is the Kimmett Cup. We do so various tree planting programs with different groups. This one was done with Tree Canada and a company out of Didsbury called 4 Trees. And we've planted approximately 1,000 trees with that group in the last 3 or 4 years. Moving into our 2020 capital projects, or looking back at 2020 capital projects, I should say. With the help of and the recommendation of the committee, we completed the River Avenue pathway connection between the Riverview Green Space and Riverview Drive. Crawford Ranch, the pathway was upgraded. The Riverfront Bridge replacement was completed in December. And we had the Horse Creek Sports Park detailed design and the Historic Ranch and Mitford Park master plans were on the books for 2020, but were both deferred into 2021, as the committee's well aware, due to COVID. But we'll have a good look at those this year. And here's our 2021 capital projects. Cochrane Ranch Historic Site Master Plan, the Mitford Park Master Plan, the Horse Creek Sports Park Master Plan Update, detailed design and servicing. We have a project over in Bull Ridge. We're not so much trying to figure out where water's coming from, but we're going to figure out where we're going to put it. So we have a small project involved around some design and investigation there. We have a pathway project in Midford Park West, and we have a partnership program with Variety Charity of Alberta on the Centennial Park Playground resurface. And what that project involves is some fundraising on the part of Variety. They will replace all the playground equipment on the east end of the park. It's phase 2 of a project. And the town will put a new playground surface in and provide some elbow grease. And we come out of the deal with about we're forecasting about a $300,000 playground for about an $85,000 investment. So great partnership and a great project. Variety Charities done some fantastic work throughout Alberta. We participate in a program called Yardstick Benchmarking, and what that does is compares us to some of our parks counterparts in the nearby municipalities. What you can see here, program gathers data from our park system and views them alongside the data from various municipalities within Canada and Alberta. This slide shows that we're actively maintaining considerably more parkland than our peer groups. Based on an area per 1,000 residents, the median numbers here, these are all Cochrane numbers. Over the years, we pick up more parkland per 1,000 residents. And the slide on the right is playgrounds again, per 1,000 children. Here's the median. Cochrane is well above the median in regards to our playgrounds. Oops, getting ahead of myself. Our benchmarking, again, same program, Yardstick, shows that we're mowing a lot more grass than our counterparts per 1,000 residents. Here's the median number here. We're mowing in the neighborhood of 4.4. I believe that's hectares per 1,000 residents. And then on the right, speaking to what Corey had just talked about, we're lacking in our sports, not only baseball diamonds, but sports parks per 1,000 residents. You can see the median here. So it's been an excellent program. It's provided us with some great data. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and ask that a very quick overview, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer what I can.
Thanks, Brad. I think that was pretty much the same presentation you gave to council before Christmas there. So like before, it's kind of overwhelming, the amount of work and the amount of parks and trails and just the huge recreation value we get out of our green spaces and how much work your team does to actually delivering on that. So thank you again. John is going to lead us off with questions, and I will watch for questions, but worst case scenario, just stick your hand up and maybe we'll just go that way. So Dawn, over to you.
Thanks, Brad. You guys do amazing work, and it really shows in the town. The question I had was something you didn't mention in this, and I didn't really expect you to, but I'm wondering what the status of the Parks Bylaw review is.
The Parks Bylaw review is in the hands of our bylaw section. I believe it's about 95% complete, just waiting for their final approval. And once they've done their magic to it, we'll have it in front of council for approval.
Great.
And I'm sorry, Dawn, I can't give you a timeline on that, but
not to worry. Thank you.
With Bob.
Sorry, Mark, do you have your hand up? A question?
I do, yes, thank you. Thanks, Brad. That was a great presentation, and I understand you've been doing you have been doing a great job with a lot less staff, according to what I've read in the paper. Your second last slide, just before the burrowing owl there, you have something that talks about like how many of our population participate in different sport? Like how many are involved in, say, minor ball or rugby or soccer or anything of that nature? And then my second question would be relative to the presentation before yours, what is the cost of upkeep for the town for, say, a baseball diamond relative to a soccer pitch or something of that nature? Is there those kind of comparison costs? And thanks again.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mark. We've figured out an hourly maintenance rate on our sports fields. And we kind of lump everything into the same group. We're looking at about, to maintain them, our rate with equipment and a couple operators, a couple seasonal staff, and throw into consideration materials like shale and field paint and line chalk. We come in at about $50 an hour on the maintenance piece of that. In regards to, and sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think your first question was number of people per sport per facility, and I don't have that number. What we do have is this graph on the right that shows we fall a little bit shy in the compared to our peers. Surrounding municipalities, we are lacking in the sports parks.
Okay. Does that answer the questions?
It does, yes. And you said $50 per hour for a baseball pitch. How does that compare to, say, a soccer pitch? And you're saying that we don't have as many sports fields as other communities. Is that for every type of sport as well? Do you have it broken down whether or not we're lacking in baseball sort of idea?
The sports park part of this program is a generic sports facility question. I know that in talking to some of my peers, we're a little shy in baseball diamonds and we're a little shy in outdoor skating facilities. And I think I misunderstood the question around the rates. Our maintenance costs are probably about $50 an hour to maintain the fields. We rent them out at substantially cheaper. Our rental rate for a baseball diamond is $14.50 per hour for a registered, organized minor sporting group, so which is very reasonable, and our service level is fantastic.
All right, thanks for that, Brad. Leah, I think you're next up if you have a question.
Cool. I do, but I think I just left my hand up from before. But I just had a question about the allocation. You said the rental rates. However, when Corey mentioned that the fields were not available at certain times, is there a process around that, or is that just sort of block time for other community use?
No, our fields we're at capacity in May and June for sure. I think because we have men's slow pitch and mixed slow pitch using the Mitford and the rodeo diamonds, there's some we are definitely at capacity, but sorry, Lee, I'm not sure I totally understand.
Yeah, sorry. Some communities are say for ice allocation, all the ice sports would get together and figure out the allocation of ice, for example. I'm just thinking of other communities because I don't think that happens here in Cochrane as much, but is the same process applied where any kind of users of the fields might have an opportunity to sort of indicate what their needs are, or is it sort of just allocated on a what's the allocation process, I guess, other than people looking to rent on a one-off or season?
Yeah, we sit down at the beginning of the year with our three major ball diamond groups, and we have communications with the soccer groups. we find out what their needs are, and we allocate a bunch of the rental space to them prior to the year. Some of it's grandfathered, like the two slow pitch groups have got Sunday nights. And to date, we've been successful communicating with those groups through the season. And they've been successful communicating with each other to, if they need to horse trade on a ball diamond or what may be the case. But yeah, that's pretty much booked at the beginning of the year on what we feel or what the user groups tell us their needs are.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kelly, do you have a question?
It's more of a comment, actually. I just wanted to say to thank you, Brad, to you and your team. There's something that we actually have noticed, even with COVID and everything else. The poop bag receptacles, when they're empty, we can almost, stand there and watch somebody come down to the location as soon as it's reported in. So that's appreciated, and especially since we seem to have more issues with people not picking up their dog excrement. But it's appreciated, Brad. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Kelly. I will pass that on.
As we were getting Brad's update, I was thinking maybe we needed like a doggy do pickup weed pull for cash event, but we can brainstorm other ideas later. Other questions for Brad?
I have a question.
Yes, Peggy, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, awesome, all the work your team does, and I could talk with you a long time about it, but I was interested to hear your Weeds for Cash project. Pretty cool. I've been out with the ladies in my neighborhood in Cochrane Heights, pulling weeds along the bluff. I actually have one of the houses on the bluff, and paying my kids 5 cents each plant that they get is very effective. So I really appreciate that program that we have for our neighbors to be able to cut down on the spraying in our neighborhood. And I wondered, do you have any plans, or maybe it's a longer conversation, but to find ways to cut down on our chemical spraying in some of our other places, especially near our playgrounds and dog parks?
Yeah, thanks, Peggy. It's something we've always looked at. We're always looking to reduce our chemical footprint. We've trialed a couple of products over at the Ball Diamonds 2 years ago. We trialed an iron chelate product that didn't give us the results we were hoping for. But yeah, and we've done a lot. We've moved to a lot of a steam treatment, which is proving to be a little bit pricey, but very effective, and it's very selective as well. So yeah, we're always looking at alternatives to get away from the chemicals.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm sure Brad's got a lot on his plate, and we could probably quiz him all day. There will be other opportunities with the committee to kind of chat about those items, but let's move our agenda along unless anybody has a last pressing question. I think we're good. Okay, if I can just get a motion then to accept Brad's overview for information. Mark's making that motion. All in favor? It's passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 4C, communications priorities, engagement, council priorities. So November, December, the big priority was wrapping up the budget. It was very much, my mind, the highlights were the COVID management, dealing with the repercussions of that, a big focus on roads and transportation. And looking ahead, we do need to, in my mind, to kind of figure out the community development position and parks and recreation type of angle there. So, but there's a lot going on with council, but a lot we want to talk about tonight, and I think we can cover some of it in the round table. So I'm going to kind of leave that one for now. We can, I guess if we're going to just keep with the template of that. Yeah, let me just summarize that. So our priorities looking ahead is council has set the budget. It is very much a COVID emergency management budget for this year. We've got our new CAO in place. And once he gets his feet underneath him, we're going to be kind of looking ahead to how we plan the future with Cochrane now that we're kind of rebuilding our team and getting it in place. Council will be going through the spring. We'll have strategic planning. In the spring is kind of the next big item on our process. Then we head into the summer, and fall is when we start building up into the budget. Probably about a month or two from now, when staff start getting ready for next year's budget and start building that together. So October, this group will have a chance to kind of start hopefully feeding into the budget process that gets passed in November, December. And so hopefully council will be able to get a lot of the initiatives that we wanted to move ahead forward. You may have seen that the RCMP station is underway. I think we're looking to break ground this year. It's a 2-year build, but when we're talking about items we need to catch up on, the RCMP station is one of those for sure. So lots to catch up on there. I'll do a better job next time when we have a little bit more time. For now, though, I would ask that we accept that update for information. And who's going to make that motion for me?
A motion that we accept the update for information, please, Tara.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. Next up, administration priorities. If Mr. Luft or Mr. Hyman could speak to the Horse Creek Sports Park, kind of the priorities as you see it looking into the next year.
I want to just let everybody know that there's a lot happening in 2021 and excited to work with you guys. So Horse Creek Sports Park in particular, I think a number of you had worked on that with us in the past. I think it was a good plan, but there were some elements, the Southland portion of that where there was going to potentially be bus storage. Of course, that never came to be, which I think is a blessing in disguise. I personally didn't think that was the most compatible use, and I know a number of people on the committee thought that, but I know we have a number of other members here now too, so welcome to the team. I'm very much looking forward to your input as well. What we need to do is look at that plan, revisit it, and we'll be doing that this year. So we have an opportunity to, with not having that Southland development in the northwest corner, to make some adjustments to the plan. And I think we can improve on the great work that was already completed, but make this plan even better. So I think that's one of the significant things that we can do. The other thing that we would be able to do with that plan as well is look at the phasing, because I know it's a significant project. In the neighborhood, the overall cost to implement that was estimated about $50 million. So obviously that's not going to happen overnight, but there were groups like tonight who wanted to have baseball diamonds and different things like that. So how do we introduce some of the preliminary phases of this? I think that's something that we should be looking at and getting some input. Brad and myself have a meeting with our consultant group tomorrow, Urban Systems. So we'll be talking about the first steps in terms of revisiting Horse Creek. We'll also be looking at the Mitford and Cochrane Ranch master plans, and then coming back to this group for your input. So I think there's a lot of exciting work. I know I saw some of the comments that came in. I think somebody on the committee had asked about some of the outdoor opportunities through COVID. So obviously we've learned a lot about that. And I think that's something that there's some great opportunities. And then I know Peggy made I thought what was a great comment earlier was where we can have multi-use space. And I think that's something we should revisit with Horse Creek and some of the other places as well. I know Councillor McFadden and myself have talked a lot about winter cities and making sure that there is activities throughout all the seasons. So I think that's something we can focus on. But I won't take any more time other than to say I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and Brad and I will have further updates for you at our next meeting.
Thanks very much, Drew. Mr. Darracott, Mr. Luff, did you want to add anything in the admin priority section? No, we're good. Oh, sorry.
I would just say now you all know as much about our park system as I do. That was my first chance to see all that. So it was good for me to learn a little bit more about Brad and his team and the work they do. And yeah, it's an immense amount of work. I know they, just from only being here for a short time, take great pride in it. And it's great to even see the feedback from community members like yourself who are interacting with that space and how valued it is. And yeah, it's exciting, the opportunities that are in front of us, but there's there's challenges, and we're looking forward to getting some perspective from this group on how we can engage those challenges.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mike. I appreciate it. Sorry, Brad, I see there's just a note on here, the 2021 seasonal recruiting. Did you want to speak to that?
Sure. Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Drew. Yeah, that was when I think about administrative priorities, I often think about what's in front of me, and we're at a spot right now where we're looking at our 2021 recruiting, which kicks in right about now. We've posted for a seasonal position, and we will shortly be posting for a full-time operator's position as well. So, and getting ready for summer, believe it or not. We're like the grocery stores or the retail stores. We're always thinking a season ahead. So get your baseball gloves. Thanks, Tara.
Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, so administrative priorities, that was a very quick update there. Any other questions on that? Not seeing any at this point. So again, we'll just take a motion to receive that for information. Leah has made that motion. All in favor? Yay, it's passed unanimously. Oh, I'm getting tired. I was just about to say yay, but that might not be my most professional moment. All right, moving on to the committee priorities. Now, this was coming from just some comments and emails we were getting as we were building the agenda. I think, Lloyd, you'd wanted to talk about the input to Horse Creek Sports Park. Are you satisfied with the discussion we had tonight around that?
I'd like to add just to like the ideas that people come up with. Now, the input should be verbal, or should we maybe make up a sketch? How would we present our ideas on the Horse Creek upgrade?
Lloyd, thanks. I think that's there's going to be lots of opportunity for different input from everyone here, and then certainly we'll have further discussion on if you wish to get even further input from the community as we revisit this. Of course, last year we went through having I believe it was called the Committee Day, where everyone came and made presentations. And that was a very successful way to do that. I'm not necessarily sure if the committee wants to do that again. Again, we still have all the information that we previously had in terms of some of the different presentations and groups. Obviously, I understand there's new people here. I'd be excited to hear their ideas as well. I think we have a really good starting point, though. But I'd like to just work with our consultants, our team, this committee. And I think we can really come up with something special for the community.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Drew. Like I say, I'll start off my little addition, my little presentation verbally, but I'll also have a sketch to show and tell. So I'll wait for my turn to come when that happens. Thank you.
Well, and the only thing I would add is, if everybody wants to go onto our website, the Horse Creek plan is on there, and maybe just start sketching out some ideas, so when we get together again in February, you've got some different ideas that you can share. I think this is a collaborative committee where we can really do something special. So
Okay, thanks for that.
Okay, and sorry, Don, you had a question, comment?
So from what I'm hearing, I'm thinking that perhaps in February is when we'll sit down and start talking out the process and get that all laid out in front of us. Is that correct, Drew? That's what you're thinking?
Yes, we're meeting with our consultant tomorrow, and so we will have a plan. And if you recall, we had sort of that workshop. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be in February right away. It could be March's session, but again, we'll have an opportunity to bring all the different ideas together and make some revisions to that plan, because there were some constraints that were a bit out of our control last time. I think we, like I said, we have a good foundation to work with, but we've got a lot of new people and new ideas. And again, given our experience over the past year, new ideas coming out of COVID. So looking forward to having those so we can make sure we do a really great job on this.
Yeah, I was thinking more of just having the process sort of figured out, not actually jumping into the nitty gritty in February, but laying out the path.
Yeah, we will have that.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, Don. Anyone else for questions on that? No, looks like we're good. Then the other point, I can't remember who brought this one up. May have been more than one of us. Outdoor skating. I don't remember where this came from. I just know that I've had my kids skating more outdoors this winter than ever before in their lives, and I can't be the only parent experiencing that. So a bit of a discussion point on that. Brad, you'd mentioned there was a gap there kind of in our resources. But is there an opportunity in this season to add to our outdoor skating, or is that something we would need to look to building into?
We did add a surface over at Mitford Pond. We brought the lower pond on this year, and we're doing a little bit of preliminary design on a possible spot. It's a tricky question to answer because when it snows, like if we get a winter with a lot of snow, it's hard for us to maintain the ice surfaces that we have, because we haven't had much snow in the past 2-3 weeks. We've got a couple operators with some time on their hands, and they've got their eye on a spot, and it kind of just came to life today. So we're gonna hopefully get some approvals and go forward with it. So, but there's potential to work with community groups as well. Like Fireside has put an outdoor skating surface up on Fireside Parkway. Heartland, their community association, got together with their developer up there and put a rink on one of the developers' lots. So there are ways to find ice.
And if I can, I think Brad and I chatted about this the other day. I think some great ideas, and I see in the chat, Alex, that you brought this up. I think, really a great idea. Again, I live in the city of Calgary. One of the things that is happening right around where I live is they have an adopted park program. And I think there's 6 skating rinks in all the open spaces, and it's all maintained by volunteers. So it's actually the town just has some rules and or the city, excuse me, just has some rules and regulations around how they can operate. And it's been extremely successful. So, Alex, I commend you for bringing that up. I think it's something that, again, the availability of water is one of the challenges with this in those open spaces. But again, I think if they can do them in these situations, I certainly think they can be done in Cochrane.
Yeah, my apologies, Alex. I should have remembered that you were the one who'd raised that. So thank you for contributing that way. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? Sorry, over to you again, Dawn.
Just to build on what Drew was saying, I actually used to manage that program when I was with the City of Calgary. There is a financial investment on behalf of the municipality in that they build the rink and provide, if it's got boards or whatever, they provide all the necessary material to build the rink, and the volunteers then take on the maintenance of that from the water, adding the water, making the ice, that kind of thing. So there is a cost to the municipality for that. Just wanted to make sure that was on the table, but it's a fabulous program, a really,
Yeah.
really good program.
And certainly you have much more experience with it, Dawn. I think it's changed because I was talking to the guys just in my community, and again, they just have rules and regulations in terms of how it's done. They got all the plywood, they did all the work. They went actually from the fire hydrant and got everything set up. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah. So
That's
again,
great
I
to
just
hear.
think if it's a model we can replicate and get kids out skating, I think it benefits everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I think it'd be a great idea. Maybe that's something we have a further discussion about another meeting, and maybe try to champion a program into next year's budget and start off the whole winter looking ahead.
Well, and
But
that's where I think Peggy's comment about some of the baseball diamonds and in the outfield, if you made that into a skating area. One of the other articles we can certainly share is the town of Banff, what they've done, and they created they took a street and they've got an ice surface on there where they're bringing people to that. And then there's other communities where there's actually like a pathway system that's all done in ice. So again, there's costs associated with it. It's something we'd have to evaluate, but I think everything starts with an idea and a conversation.
so Alex, your question?
More of a comment. I was just noticing that, we have a few other neighborhoods, mostly I think just Sunset right now, that has a residents association with an HOA fee. And I was wondering if there's a way the town perhaps could work with developers and kind of setting these up so that they can use the fees from the HOA to support new facilities kind of like this within their communities. Just kind of as an idea.
Alex, a great point. I think that's what Brad was talking about. We do meet with the community associations. How do I put this? The sophistication of the different community associations throughout Cochrane is different. Some of the more established communities have a larger presence, but it's certainly something that I think would be good for us to explore.
Okay, thank you.
So like Brad, you said, you're kind of looking at an option now. So there is a possibility we might see some more ice added in a creative way this season. You can't tell me anything, otherwise we might have to kill you by the state of that waiting for approvals comment.
No, we just, quite honestly, we brainstormed the idea this morning in a team meeting and haven't had a chance to discuss it with Mike or Drew. So before I commit to saying yes, I just, the original question was, is there a possibility? And yes, there is a possibility. So, but I don't surprise either one of my superiors, so.
Okay, we didn't hear it here, so it's all good. But yeah, great. I'm quite glad to hear that initiative. I think it's great, and anything we can, I think the key to success in COVID is that flexibility, and the team has done that so far. And if you're continuing to do that, that makes me even happier. So I think we can leave that in the team's hands to maybe give us an email update next week or in a couple weeks, if you like. Yeah, so any other questions around that? No, good. Okay, so we'll take a notice, we'll take just a motion to receive that discussion for information, I think, just so we can record something. And who's going to make that motion today? Who's next on my list? They can actually vote. That's always the trick. Lloyd, it can be your turn again. So Lloyd's making that motion. All in favor? It's unanimous again. Excellent. Okay, so now we're to round table. What we've done usually is 3 or 5 minutes, but if for each of the Ag Society, the school board, and Spray Lakes to maybe give us a brief update, if you can aim for 2 to 3 minutes on kind of the status of your organizations through COVID and recreation. I think one of the values of this committee is just that sharing of ideas and sharing of stories so that everybody knows what's going on and we can kind of celebrate our successes. So with that small heads up, Justin, I'll ask you to share an update from the Ag Society.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Maybe what I'll do quick is just define the Ag Society a little bit for some of those new people to the committee. Although we come from sort of an equine recreation background, I don't think that has to or necessarily defines us. We're also, one of our user groups is Cochrane BMX. We also have Cochrane Search and Rescue, which is one of our user groups, and they base all their operations and vehicles and everything off of our site and do all their training there also. We're also meeting with Bike Cochrane later this week and talking about different paths that can go through our land. And then obviously we want that to coordinate with the rest of the town's efforts. It was interesting that Drew mentioned that the town is meeting with Urban Systems. We also are working with Urban Systems on our site plan, and it is on our list to try and meet with them fairly soon also. So, we look to coordinate all of our recreation development and activities with the town, and hopefully we can provide a pretty nice thoroughfare from the new Horse Creek Park. Hopefully it can kind of come through our section in some way, and then maybe it goes under the highway and over into the Cochrane Ranch. So all the parks and recreation space is all coordinated quite nicely. One of the things we'll have to deal with later this year is going to be the development of the intersection. Alberta Transportation, although they say this every year, is going to start that intersection of 1A and 22. That does have a significant impact on us because there's 11 acres right along the 1A that we use quite extensively for our parking. So when we have the fair, that is where all of our parking goes on. If you picture the drive-in movie theaters, the nights that we had earlier this year, or I guess last year now, all of that space is leased land from Alberta Transportation. So we will certainly lose part of that, and a good significant part of it, through the development of that intersection. So we've got to, along with Urban Systems, we got to do some planning and try and figure out how we lay out our space from that perspective. So other than that, we're largely shut down. We've got some, we are allowed to have some horse exercising going on. So for those individuals that have riding passes and those individuals that board, they are allowed to exercise their horse on our site. But outside of that, there's nothing else going on at the moment up there. So we await for an easing of restrictions before we kick into any other gear.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Justin, the update. So many exciting things going on with the Ag Society. And as you said, I think, it's the importance about how we tie in and integrate and really bring you into the community. So that's exciting. Just as a quick update, you heard both Drew and Justin speak about urban systems. Might sound like a bit of a code word. It's not for you. Any of you are not in the planning and engineering world. Urban Systems is a planning and engineering firm. And so, like historically, for the time that I've been on council, so whatever, probably the last 20 years, Urban Systems has been a major contractor that the town hires to give us advice on planning and engineering items. They know our municipality really well. We do use other firms, but they've been a go-to for a long time. So when you hear that name, we're just referring to contracting out some of these things because we cannot afford to have enough engineers and planners to bring the expertise that a group like that can. And Lloyd's helped lighting the plan. They helped us design. They helped us design the. I can't even see what that is. Horse Creek plan. So anyhow, that's the code word. So I just had to clarify that for anybody. Then Brad, if you wanted to give us an update of where Spray Lakes is at in this difficult time. But you have to unmute.
How's that? Better, right? Yeah. Certainly a difficult time for us at Spray Lakes, and certainly for the community. When all came upon us again here in December. I think the team was ready for it and quickly reacted and obviously controlled as many fixed costs as we could at the time in terms of termination of employees, which is always sad. But the team is doing everything they can to keep fixed costs as low as possible through this time, and just waiting for the word from Alberta Health that we can commence whenever that time is. And then it'll take some time to get remobilized, and obviously you have to bring staff members back and train, etc. So there's certainly some headwinds ahead of us to get things back rolling again. So we were rolling quite nicely, and with the second shutdown, that is very, very, very challenging. So we do have a meeting on Saturday, so I'm sure I'll find out more about what's happening. But not a whole bunch at this stage. Just sit and wait.
Yeah, it's tough, and I appreciate everything your board and your staff do to deliver it. Everybody's missing their recreation.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Important. So, thanks for the update. I appreciate it. And Fiona, over to you.
All right, thank you. Unlike the Ag Society in Spray Lakes, schools are open, and we're doing our best to navigate through all the COVID protocols and the public health measures that are in place. One of the challenges with all of those new sort of requirements that we have is we've been unable to open up our schools for community use, and that I know has an impact on the rec side of things, that they're not available for renting, and I'm not really expecting it at any time this year, but that we don't know that, right? Just like everybody else, we're kind of taking it a little bit at a time. But we've been pretty successful so far as keeping case counts relatively low here in Cochrane, and we're pretty proud of Bow Valley High School as the one high school actually that has not yet had any case of COVID in their school. So good work, I know, for Bow Valley High staff and teachers, but again, kudos to all, right? All across the schools. I'll just plant a seed, I guess, for some of the conversation that I've heard here. Drew made comment, and I think Lloyd maybe did as well, around the ranch master plan as we're moving forward with some of that. And I would just like to maybe encourage that conversation continues to connect with the schools up at the Tri-Schools, Elizabeth Barrett, Manichab, and Cochrane High. Those students and schools use the ranch a lot, and it's almost a second home for them in some ways, and particularly now when we're trying to get kids outside as much as we possibly can for physical exercise and activity. That the ranch is a pretty special place, we know, for all of Cochrane. It's also it's a very special place for the students at the Tri-School. So just plant that seed for consideration at another time when we get into that.
Yeah, thank you, Fiona, for raising that as a parent with kids up at the Tri-Schools. I know how much that space is built into the recreation and the experiential learning and how valuable it is. So that's a really good point. Also in our roundtable, Leah had raised something just in the chat, but I'll let her speak to it. And also, Leah, just give us for everybody else, the context of how you're involved with Sport for Life.
Sure. I'm sorry, I might send you over your time. I'll try to be fast. And thanks to everyone for all the great sharing today. It was a great meeting, so thank you. So I am involved with an organization called Sport for Life Cochrane. And but I thought that this information would be relevant and of interest because we're the Recreation Committee, Parks and Recreation Committee. And so we had a grant to run, Sport for Life Cochrane had a grant to run community sport within the schools in a partnership for this year. And obviously that wasn't able to happen. And so as part of our pivot, we decided to invest some of the money into a survey so that we could not just the Sport for Life Cochrane organization, but everybody involved in providing sport and physical activity in our community could have a bit more insight into how people feel and how people experience sport, recreation, physical activity in our community. So we did do some broad outreach and had the researcher talk to people across the community. So I think Tara and Brad both talked to her. We had people from the schools, we had people from FCSS, we had, I'm trying to think who else, we had a pretty diverse representation to try to get broad input into the survey. So it should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're meeting with the researcher on Friday. But yeah, it's nice to hear that there are other kind of potential surveys coming up with the town around the recreation planning. And obviously the more we know, the more we can collaborate on these types of information gathering, right? So just as a quick summary for those of you, and if you want to talk more about it, I'd be happy to. This one is focused on more on the parents and their input. And then down the road, we want to, if we have funding, we would want to focus on more on the sport organizations specifically and how what their challenges, barriers, opportunities are. So the questions are around both structured, organized sport and unstructured activities, barriers to participation, including affordability and accessibility, facility needs. We have a question in there around school-based phys ed, just a general question. Does it meet your child's I forget the exact wording, needs? And then we have a section on the future of sport, which is kind of open-ended, sport and physical activity. And it asks about like, what other facilities would you like? What other programs would you like? So I think there'll be a lot of really good information there for all of this committee to take and build into all the work that we're doing. So I just wanted to share that with you and ask you also if you see it to maybe help spread the word and send the link around so we can get a really broad representation of Cochrane within the survey.
Yeah, Leah, thanks for raising it. I think it's going to be a valuable tool. If you can share it with Deanna, and then we'll send it out to the group, and then hopefully at least you'll get participation with this group, and we'll encourage everybody to spread the word. So
cool.
That'd be
awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we're kind of at our 9 o'clock. Is there anything else though? We don't have to. I value everybody's lives, but if anybody has anything they'd like to bring up, Lloyd, do you have a question or a comment? We have to unmute you though. There you go.
Yes, this question's for Justin. The Ag Society is up on the slopes there along the Highway 1A and that, and you do have a couple of bike groups that are in there using the property. Is there any chance of any other property available, say, for the ball groups, that type of thing? Any flat land up above?
There is some flat land up above, and certainly we would look at any mixed use. We do, the majority of the upper section is used for a cross-country horse event course. And it actually is one of the best ones in, well, certainly Alberta. And it's an FEI, which is a high-level equine certification for a course. So we'd be cautious about taking away any of that space. But as we look to the whole design, you know, we're open to anything in terms of whether we talk about any community need, whether it be a ball diamond or sports fields of any kind. So we'll work with, and I've talked a lot with Drew over the past, so we'll work with the town on all that as we work through our site plan and try and make sure we have some economies of scale. So.
Well, thank you for that, Justin.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyone else?
The one thing I just share, just for everyone's context, you know, I've worked with Justin in the past, and not only like is Horse Creek Sports Park an amazing opportunity, but you think of what the Ag Society, and you put those together in a municipality growing like Cochrane to have, you know, 300, 400 acres available for recreational development is like, there's no other communities that have that ability. So it's pretty unique, and it's an exciting time. So.
Yeah, Drew said it well, and a conversation with Drew a number of years ago really kind of inspired me. When you look at kind of the chain of recreation we have, so you have the Spray Lakes Rec facility is this amazing indoor facility. It's equivalent to, you know, some of the best, if not better than the city of Calgary has with our indoor. We have the Ag Society, which is this amazing opportunity for, like, it's not only the equine sports, but they're blending and looking to the future to build that in. We have the ranch, we have Midford, and then, you know, we're going to have the Horse Creek Sports Park, this amazing chain of recreation available for our residents. And how do we develop those? How do we connect them? How do we make it best in class? It's an amazing opportunity. So that's the type of thing that gets me really excited. And Drew was kind of the first one that kind of connected those dots for me a couple of years ago, and he may regret it because I'm never letting it go now, but we'll keep him busy. The one last thing I wanted to bring up, not because I really wanted to open up a can of worms, but it's kind of the discussion of the day in Cochrane, recreation wise, is you may have seen Bike Cochrane presented to council. They had identified that the regional trail through the Jim Offelman multi-use park had a high potential for conflict. And they have a solution in mind that they had presented. It's a space between bikers and runners and dog lovers that have their dogs off leash and people that walk and recreate in so many ways. It's such a vital part of our community. It's so important to so many people. And it's an important discussion they brought up that I'm really glad they did is with the bridge coming online, the rec center is really becoming more of a downtown focus for us. Our downtown is kind of growing and expanding with Greystone coming on board as well. And so it becomes more and more important that we're looking at how, if we want walkability, if we want to build a bike, want to be able to get our dogs, how do we plan in advance as much as we can to make sure that everybody can connect with this important space as safely and as easily as possible. So the conversation that they started, for me, it was really important because of that. Like, how do we make sure that we're planning to engage with this in the safest way possible from a, you know, pathways, bikes, vehicles, dogs, everything mode. The solution they proposed has incited a great deal of concern, as any change of use does. I think it's probably going to be a conversation for an extended period of time. I don't really know the way forward. What council did was receive that for information and then passed it to administration to come back with some sort of a recommendation to. So I'm actually quite glad. I was a little bit thinking that hot potato might land in this committee's lap. So at this point, I'm quite glad that staff is going to be dealing with it. I'm not really sure what's going to go, but it is going to be an important topic. So that's where that one is at. There's really not much I can speak to. We received the presentation last night, and I'm just starting to see some of the conversations there. So like I said, I don't want to really open a can of worms. So maybe on that note, and rarely, I'm probably not going to, I don't know, if anybody has any quick questions that they only want quick answers to, I might accept that. But otherwise, we could say that having a 9-10 meeting is acceptable. Any quick questions, quick answers?
Tara, do we need a motion for roundtable?
Well, yeah, let's just round it out. And we'll just, I don't know, Mike, what do you think? We just accept the discussion for information? Does that work for you, Deanna? That the committee will vote to just accept that discussion for information? Okay, perfect. We need a vote on that. And Mark's making the motion, and all those in favor? It's approved unanimously. Excellent. Now, one of the things you may have noticed, I, as the chair, in order to keep our numbers balanced, I don't actually have voting privileges, which is very difficult for me, but that's why I'm not voting. But one of the great things about being the chair is I get to just declare when we are adjourned. So with that, thank you everyone for your time tonight. And for your commitment going forward. We're going to keep you busy. Lots of great projects to be a part of. Cochrane's an exciting place to be, and COVID's a bump. So thank you very much. If anybody's got any last comments, applause is always accepted. Oh wait, I've got some last messages. Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We'll be in touch. And next meeting, February 23rd. So
Thanks for having me, everyone. Nice to kind of meet you. Look forward to hearing more about the work from the committee.
Excellent. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.